It was deliberate, premeditated. I'm a witness.
South Orange County Community College District, and as always, we begin with a report from our clerk of actions taken in closed session.
Mr. President, there are no actions to report.
Thank you, sir. And we will go back to the clerk for an invocation. We'll invite you all to stand and join us with the invocation, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, to be led by Trustee Jay.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, you, God, in whom America proclaims, "In God we trust," you in whom we say we are one nation under God, you to whom we ask, God bless America. We ask you this evening to be with us as we gather in freedom. We ask you to bless and guide us in our decisions for the good of the people of our district. We ask you to inspire us to do what is right and noble. Bless our nation and our community. Bless those who serve in the uniform of our land around your world. Return them to us in safety when their tasks are done. This we pray, and to this we say, amen.
Will you join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I see no resolutions, presentations, or introductions on the agenda. Let's move now to public comments. And we will start with, let's see, I'm intrigued, Bob Cosgrove and stress.
Thank you, members of the board. Bob Cosgrove, Saddleback College. Just completed a department chair survey requesting information from 50 department chairs at Saddleback College. We had 36 responses, which is very good, and over 8 pages of single-spaced commentary about the issues related to the duties of these individuals. We also had information where they simply check things to get a sense of how long they've been department chairs and so on. But one of the things that came out as we discussed it at the last Senate meeting, and it'll be on discussion for tomorrow as well, was something that actually 2 new faculty members from last year who are serving on the academic said in response to the public comment section after looking at this. One said, with this information about what it's like to be a department chair at Saddleback, I will never be a department chair. Now that caught my attention. And having just come from the State Academic Senate meeting in Ontario, California, clearly there's stress up and down the state regarding budgetary issues, concerns for students who parents have lost their jobs, colleagues, and so on. But and I see it on our own campus. I see it in the meeting I attended today. I saw it at a meeting yesterday afternoon where tension was really palpable or something like that. But at the same time, I also recognize that during these periods of great stress, we have faculty and administrators and students and classified staff and community members stepping forward and doing remarkable things. And stress sometimes can bring about, obviously, terrible consequences, but it can also bring around wonderful consequences. And I'd like to salute those people who are stepping up, taking on the roles where other people are giving up after strenuous times. I see stress in the board. I see stress on my own campus, as I said. I see stress in the district. I hope that we will all come together and be a little less stressful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Up next will be Chip Walsh, a video instructor at Trabuco Hills High School. And just a brief word to the audience. The subject is the Saddleback College video production program. There is a report on our agenda today. Trustee Padberg has made the request, and I think it's an eminent one since it's a thorough report, that it come back for a discussion item in December. And we've talked earlier today with Dixie Bullock, who was responsible for preparing this report. She is eager to come back with it and discuss it in some more detail with us in December. And so certainly there will be no action taken. It wasn't agendized for action. Ms. Bullock had another engagement, and given that discussion that we had, I think she's left for the other engagement. But I just wanted you to know the item is here, and it will come back in December. But we're happy to hear from you now.
Okay. Sure. I'm here representing the Saddleback Valley High School and Intermediate School video instructors. And I'm here on behalf of the video program and instructors here at Saddleback College. I've been sending my students to Saddleback College for the past 12 years. And in that time, I've seen the program and its community involvement and appeal grow exponentially. In the past 5 years, we've maintained a 2+2 articulation agreement, and we get together yearly to update our curriculum and their expectations. The instructors have won several grants. This last one included high-definition video boot camp for all of the Orange County High School and Intermediate School instructors. And we not only received hands-on instruction, we also received a high-definition camcorder for each attendee. 2 years ago, they started a Saddleback Film Festival showcasing the high school films, and this year they're going to actually have 2 festivals in which the intermediate schools are also invited. Also, the facilities and equipment here have been continuously upgraded, staying on the cutting edge of technology with the Red camera and with the latest in production and editing equipment. Finally, all of the instructors here are working professionals. Their wide range of experiences are brought into the program, providing a professional environment with intern and job placement opportunities. Many of my past students have come back to tell me about the great experience that they've had here at Saddleback, how well prepared they were, and many of them are now working in the field. So it's a great program.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. And up next is Brian Devaney, a video instructor at San Juan Hills High School.
Hello, I'm Brian Devaney. I teach video production at San Juan Hills High School. For the last 3 years, it's a new high school that's opened and down not far from here. Before that, I was 15 years video teacher at Elisa Miguel High School. And this whole time, I don't want to repeat what Mr. Walsh said. He said it better than I could anyway. But in that time, I've always been encouraging my students to come to Saddleback as the next step, while I might turn them on to video to actually learn the field in a way that's marketable. I always encourage them to come here, and this school has provided an excellent education. One of my students, David Goodhart, wasn't in a position to go directly to college. He came here and got very involved and very well trained, then transferred to Chapman and is now in charge of the TV engineering, the engineering department in the TV and film department at Chapman University. I have other stories where kids came here, and like Mr. Walsh, they would come back and tell me what a great opportunity and great training they received here. Now that I'm at San Juan Hills, about a third of my student population is considered low income or at risk. And a four-year college is not in the cards for them, at least right away, maybe not ever. But since Southern California is the capital of the entertainment industry, it is a way for a lot of my students to prepare themselves for a school-to-work employment. When they finish 2 years here at Saddleback, they can get a job in many of the fields without a four-year degree in the communications field, and I really feel that the Saddleback program has been valuable to every student that I've sent here, and I would like to continue to send my students to this fine program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Devaney. And I have no further requests to speak. Madam Secretary, none? All right. Thank you all. And at this point, we will turn to board requests, board reports, and start with Trustee Jay.
I have just a brief sentence. I wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Trustee Padberg.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say that I've been to a couple of Saddleback football games, and we won last Saturday. Also at the Saddleback Foundation Gala, which was a rousing success. And I did a private tour. Of course, this past week was Veterans Day, and I had a conflict with events I had to attend in San Clemente, so I couldn't get to the IBC Veterans Ceremony. But I was able to do a private tour for a lot of people on Saturday of our Veterans Memorial that's still under construction. And they were very impressed and wanted to know where to make a donation. We do need to perhaps beef up the signage so people who aren't familiar and want to come on their own could find it without having to have a person give them a tour. But in any event, Veterans Day was a wonderful celebration, and I hope you all had that same experience. And I will echo what Trustee Jay said, and please have a happy Thanksgiving.
Trustee Fuentes.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to offer our monthly report on the Orange County Legislative Task Force. The task force met this past month and finalized a state and federal policy statements. These are intended to help us focus our advocacy during the tough budget year ahead. It's actually a project we've been working on for several months, and it was just more effort along that line. Much of the discussion this month surrounded the issues of visits to our legislators. We're considering expanding our visits beyond our Orange County representatives, which has been our tradition, and spending time with some legislators who focus on specific educational and budget issues. Our colleagues from the other three Orange County community college districts join us in those meetings. That particular day, Chancellor Mather and I had a special privilege. We generally attend these legislative task force meetings and have a tuna sandwich. But that day, we were invited by an old friend to join him. It was our great privilege for both of us to share lunch with Dr. William Bennett, the United States Secretary of Education under President Ronald Reagan. Bill Bennett has been a friend for years, and he was just delighted when learning of our Ronald Reagan building recognition here, because after all, he was the Secretary of Education, and this is an educational institute honoring his former boss. I'd like to add my compliments to President Todd Burnett and all on his team who presented that marvelous gala for the foundation. It was a fine evening. Both my wife and I very much enjoyed it. And I'd also like to continue the good words of Trustee Padberg about the veterans recognition, celebration, and commemorations that have occurred in our district related to Veterans Day recently. I think that on both of our campuses there is a very keen and real sense of commitment to recognizing, welcoming, and always remembering our veterans. And that leadership, I know, comes from our two college presidents all the way down through the ranks in every category of our staff and team on those two college campuses. I salute you for that. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Trustee Williams.
Yes, good evening. Well, for the first time in a few years, I missed the Saddleback College Gala fundraising event. I've been under the weather this past month. I hear it was very well attended, and I understand that for the first time we almost had all 7 members of the board there. I wanted to thank all of the individuals and companies that donated to the event. And I personally was able to get a donation from the Tustin Ranch Golf Club and from the Black Gold Golf Club of Rounds of Golf to raise money. All the money is donated to the students via scholarships at the spring awards ceremony. So thank you to all the members of the community that supported that. And I've been sick this past month, and I thought, we have a nursing program here, and I just wanted to thank all of the members of our community that are healthcare workers, the doctors, the nurses, physicians, assistants. I was in several waiting rooms. It's going around. I've been on antibiotics and all of these medicines. I'm finally kicking it and getting my voice back. But thank you to all of the healthcare workers, too, in the community. And everyone, I want to wish you all a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Briefly, things that have already been touched on by everybody, but hats off to Irvine Valley College for their fine Veterans Day ceremony, and great job was done by all. Daryl, the moderator, or MC on down, and the folks who organized it. So wonderful job, and thank you. And again, thanks to both colleges. I had a chance to say this a little bit that day, but thanks to both colleges for their commitment to our veterans. It is important. It's nice that we're doing it, and strongly encourage the colleges to continue, because it is a wonderful thing. And then, second of all, has also been discussed. The foundation event was a rousing success. Pretty much standing room only. I think some of the program was already starting while some of the tables were still getting dinner, and so there were just a ton of people there. And to Todd Burnett and to Michelle Anstad and to the entire Saddleback Foundation, enormously well done. And sorry we missed you, John. You were the only one who wasn't there. So maybe we catch you next time. Happy Thanksgiving, all. Trustee Milchiker.
Thank you. I also want to echo what my fellow board members have been saying. My husband and I enjoyed ourselves immensely at the Saddleback College Foundation event, and so thanks to Todd Burnett and Michelle Anstad and to all of the wonderful volunteers. I saw many people from the community supported it that I've known for many years, and it was a rousing success. And I understand the students from our culinary department prepared all the food, and they did a wonderful job too. And so the event really didn't cost much, and all the money went for scholarships. So it was a win-win situation. In enlarging what some of my fellow board members said, I wanted to remind everyone that there's another fundraiser coming up this coming Thursday, and it's going to be the Chili Bowl Festival and Silent Art Auction, and that's to raise money for our wonderful Saddleback College Veterans Memorial sculpture that's on the Saddleback College campus. And our professor of ceramics, Richard White, and all of our ceramics students are working very hard on this sculpture. It's lovely, and if anybody in the audience would like to attend, it's only $30 to attend this fundraiser, and it includes a bowl of chili, and you get to keep the bowl. The bowl is made by our ceramics students, and there will be jazz music from our own jazz band at Saddleback College, which is extraordinary, and they'll be playing music from World War II. So it should be a lot of fun. As I said, free chili, cornbread, 2 free drinks for every person, and soft drinks as much as you want, and you keep the bowl. So I hope to see all of you this coming Thursday at the fundraiser for our very own Veterans Memorial sculpture on the Saddleback College campus. And it will be held right at the sculpture, right in the middle of the campus, in the middle of the quad. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Lang.
Yes, in the interest of brevity, I won't repeat all of the events that my fellow board members have described, and just wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, sir. And Trustee Bailey.
I attended the Spooktacular at IVC last month, as well as a couple of football games as well, and the Vets Fair today, as well as the Fall Fair last week. And I also wish you all a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Chancellor's report.
Thank you. A couple of items to report on. First of all, I was fortunate to have been invited by the Laguna Woods Village to be part of a panel on dealing with dementia, and it was a pleasure to talk about Saddleback College's Emeritus Institute programs as to how it makes a difference in the lives of the senior citizens by keeping them intellectually and physically engaged. We offer over 180 courses in Laguna Woods Village, as part of the Emeritus program. The enrollment there is about 11,000 students, and I know that Saddleback College is considering starting a new program called Gerontology program beginning fall of 2010. And there was also a lot of interest and requests for offering classes in Bridge. So I hope that Saddleback College would consider that course for the senior citizens in that community. Hate to mention this, but part of the reality is that we continue to monitor the state budget for 2010, 2011, and at this point, the projected budget shortfall is $15 billion. Again, it was a pleasure to have lunch with, along with Trustee Fuentes, with Dr. Bill Bennett, former U.S. Secretary of Education, and that program was sponsored by the Claremont Institute. I'd like to wish everyone, all faculty, staff, and managers, administrators, and students, and members of the community, a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Do we have any board requests for reports? Trustee Fuentes.
Mr. President, I recently reviewed the results of the survey conducted by College of the Sequoias of how 49 districts are adjusting to the state budget cuts. The results were informative and sobering. I trust perhaps some of you read that report as well. By far, most colleges are cutting expenses first, and some now spending general fund reserves. They are increasing class sizes and reducing the offerings in fall, spring, summer, and intersessions. In terms of staffing, colleges are reducing adjunct faculty and hourly employees, imposing hiring freezes and frosts, and considering furloughs. They are also beginning to negotiate workload reductions, and some are reducing pay and increasing employee contributions for health care. I'd like to ask for two reports at this time. First, I think that a presentation of the results of this statewide survey, the one of which I've spoken, would be very informative for our board and especially for our community and viewing audience. Secondly, I'd like a report on what we are doing in our South Orange County Community College District in terms of efficiencies, reductions, and planning in response to the worsening budget crises facing our state, especially for the 2010-2011 year. So I'd like to ask, would it be possible, Chancellor, if we might have presentations on both of these topics at our December meeting?
Is there a written request for that report?
No, this is, as I understand it, Trustee Fuentes is requesting a presentation type report, not a written report. Is that correct?
He's requesting a report, but I think our board policy has trustees make written requests for presentations and reports.
I have it written out. I can sign it and hand it down.
so that we can get administration to evaluate the time and the need and the energy that it'll take. And there is actually a form. This isn't a form, but I think that's a very admirable request for a report. And following the process, we can probably vote it up, down, whatever in December, and it'll no doubt be voted up. And we'll get that report in the due course.
May I respond?
I was hoping that we would.
I got Trustee Padberg. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You had the floor, Trustee Fuentes.
I was hoping we could get the report in December. That's what I was asking. Would it be possible to put it together in December?
Trustee Padberg.
Well, I just want to echo what you were saying, Trustee Wagner, that there is a process that we all have to go through to fill the form out. Then that comes back on the agenda with staff recommendation as to the time. So the process has not been followed. It should be followed for every trustee, not just one or two. So I request that we follow the process. I certainly would support it. But I think it's a very short time. The December meeting is coming up very quickly because of all the holidays, and that we shouldn't burden our staff at this time. It can certainly come back in January.
Further discussion. Chancellor.
Yeah. it has been my understanding that the process that we have developed, that the board has been following, is for written reports. It was not my understanding that that was the process for the oral report. Certainly, we can follow that process, but I'm just indicating what my understanding has been about that process for requesting written reports.
Trustee Williams.
Looking at the agenda format, I don't object to this as being, this is more of a presentation I think we should all hear. If we look at our board reports section later on, we've got basic aid report and financials. We could just include it in part of the budget financial report next month as part of an update. I think that's
Well,
what
then
you're
that's
looking
oral.
for. Not a full-blown PowerPoint presentation, correct, Tom?
Correct.
Just an update on how the budget is affecting our district and how we're adapting to the budget. So I think that's a minimal information. If the Chancellor says they can do it in 4 weeks, I don't have any objection.
Trustee Jay.
Yes, I echo what John is saying. I'd like to see the situation as it is in this district. We do have more dollars than we did last year. I do think that should be reflected. The state is going through a very, very difficult time, and that doesn't mean that we aren't. We are. But I would like to see where we stand relative to all of the other districts included in that report.
We all agree. I think the only issue we're discussing is timing.
Sure, sure.
Trustee Padberg.
I just wanted you to be sure to recognize the Deputy Chancellor. That's all.
Just as some information for the board, of course, you can do whatever you'd like, but the docket for the next board meeting is next Wednesday, so there's very little time to put together a report. It could be done if we set our staff together and gave them that the highest priority of everything to do.
Turn it. Okay, there we go. When you recognize the mic, turn the mic on, and now it shows up. Trustee Fuentes.
Mr. President, I wonder if we might split the baby to try to do this. The first portion of that, which I'm requesting, is a public document now. It's a report that's out. I just want to have everybody have the chance to hear it, which is just a matter of presentation. The other one, which I understand Nancy's concern, and I certainly defer to that. There's no intent to do anything other than that. Maybe we could ask that in the January we could have the one which would require some staff time. The other one, the first one, is just a matter of presentation.
Okay, I think we've got consensus. That'll work. That's not out of the ordinary or off process. Chancellor.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the first report that Trustee Fuentes is referring to, the community college survey results, those results are already available, which I had sent to the board by email, and we can put together a brief presentation on that at the December meeting, and then our own list of budget reductions and so forth that we are developing a list of, we can present that at the January meeting.
Trustee Padberg.
We do need to review our policy and make sure that we are all following the request for reports properly, because it is not, with what we're doing tonight, it is not being followed uniformly for every trustee.
Okay. Do we need a vote, or is everybody good with December? We'll get the one report, and we'll treat this as the request for written report with respect to the other component that comes back in January.
Well, I have amended the request to have a presentation of the first element in December and to offer time to present the second element in January. And it's all written down there, and I'd be happy to transfer those words to another paper, but I did sign that one.
No.
And I think Dave seconded it.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure we're all, that is the process we're going to follow, and we're all good with that.
Okay.
All right.
Accept the amendment.
Okay. All right. Very good. So, are all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Matter carries unanimously as amended. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Any other board requests for report after that? All right. Housekeeping detail, I am going to advance item 6.1, which is the audit, to accommodate our auditor, who is here, though I don't see her. There we go. Okay. very good. There's Phoebe. All right. Item 6.1 is the audit, and let me call Ms. McCutcheon to the podium. Let me start by saying the Audit Committee met and reviewed this report last month. It is a clean audit, and kudos, as usual, go to Gary and his fine staff around in the district. So thank you. I guess, let me ask Ms. McCutcheon, have you anything in particular to say, or do you want to just wait for questions?
Actually, I thought I'd give a brief overview of our
Go ahead.
process and the report itself so that for those of you who haven't read it in great detail, you might gain a little knowledge.
Okay, go ahead.
We began the audit process in the spring.
Can you speak into the microphone a little more?
Is this the mic?
That would be the mic.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank you, sorry. We began the audit process with a meeting with management and the audit committee in the springtime to go over the expectations and the responsibilities that we had as your auditors for part of the audit process. And then at the conclusion of the audit process, we also met again with the audit committee and management to go over in great detail the audit report, conversion from fund accounting to full accrual accounting, and the various schedules that are required by the Chancellor's Office and federal oversight agencies. Our standards require that we communicate, or that communication takes place at the beginning and the end of the audit process. Our audit also involved the review of supporting documentation and inquiries regarding the financial statements and also state compliance requirements, such as the audit of the FTEs and also some of the state-funded programs like CalWorks. We are required also to review federal programs. Each year we audit the student financial aid programs, and then we do a rotation of other federal programs. This year we also audited the National Science Foundation Rapid Technology Grant and the Perkins Title 1C grant. The audit report, beginning at the beginning of the audit report, is the auditor's opinion. It's the first 2 pages after the table of contents. And we have issued an unqualified opinion this year, which is the best opinion we're able to give. It means that there are no qualifications. In addition, there was one audit adjustment. This is an adjustment that we make every year, and it's converting the property tax revenue from cash basis to accrual basis. And it's not what I would consider an audit adjustment that means that your records aren't being kept properly. And then the rest of the report starts with the financial statements. These are presented in the government accounting according to governmental accounting standards, and it includes the consolidation of all funds. The primary statement is the government-wide, and it includes all your governmental funds. And then in addition to that, there is a statement for component units. This includes Saddleback College Foundation, Irvine Valley College Foundation, ATEP, and the District Foundation. Following those are financial statements pertaining to the ASBs, the scholarship fund, and the district's depository account. And then finally, there are 2 statements which relate to the OPEB trust that the district has set up. Of note this year, there was a significant increase in net assets, $36.9 million, which means that the district experienced a very profitable year. In addition, part of the contributing factors was that the employee benefits decreased significantly. Last year, as you probably remember, there was a significant amount of money deposited into the OPEB trust, and it was charged to employee benefits. So that was not something that reoccurred this year and was the primary result of the significant profit. For the component units, they in total experienced a loss of approximately $400,000. This was primarily due to investment losses. And if you're interested in copies of the Saddleback and Irvine Valley College Foundation audits, you can request them from those agencies. Following the financial statements, there is a section with notes and additional supplemental information. This includes the principles, accounting principles used to prepare your financial statements. It also gives detail with regard to a lot of the different balances that are in your financial statements. The supplemental information reports on information that's required by the State Chancellor's Office. For the conclusion of this, for findings, there were no findings that related to internal controls or state compliance. There was one finding which related to certain provisions of laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements that's found on page 56 of the report. And then another finding that pertained to federal compliance, where one of the programs was not meeting its responsibility for monitoring controls over subrecipients. And that's found on page 57. The finding that we had last year has been implemented, or our recommendations have been implemented, and that's no longer a problem. I wanted to express our appreciation to the business office staff, in particular Beth and her staff. They're a pleasure to work with. They're always very proactive in providing us with whatever we ask for, and it's also been our pleasure to serve as your auditors for the last 5 years. We greatly appreciate your business and hope that in the future you may consider us again to be your auditors. And now, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Trustee Lang.
Yes, just a couple of items, and I guess this is one that that's been consistently in the report, but just strikes me, I guess, as being a little odd anyways, and that is the fact that on the one report, and I've lost my page, of course, let me find that again, that shows operating income and expenses, the presentation of essentially our basic aid amount from local property taxes is not being part of operating income, so it shows as a big operating loss, which I think frankly is a little misleading, I guess, is the way I would term it, but because obviously that does contribute greatly to operating funds, but I suppose that's because of government accounting standards that you have to reflect it that way.
It is. The reason why it's not part of your operating is because operating is considered exchange type situations where the person paying the money is also getting a benefit, and because the property taxes are not paid by the students themselves, it falls outside of what is considered operating. You may be happy to know that all the community colleges' financial statements look really strange because they follow the same reporting requirements.
A couple of other items, though, that I guess I did want to ask about. On Note 1, item C14, you talk about one of the GASBs that requires that there be direct on-behalf payments shown in one fashion, and then apparently a directive from the California Department of Education instructing districts to handle this a different way. And just curious about that.
Well, it's basically what the note says. There's a reporting requirement that if another entity makes payments on behalf of another one, that should be reflected in the financial statements. And the state of California has put out a directive and said, don't do that.
Can you tell me why?
Honestly, I haven't asked. I don't know.
Okay. All right,
But
very
we
good.
have disclosed here an estimate of what the amount would be.
I saw that.
And I think it ends up being both a revenue and expense item too, so.
Okay. My next two comments really, I think, is directed at district staff. You've noted in Note 2, Item A, that the district doesn't have a deposit policy, and I think you've noted in Note 2, Item B, under interest rate risk, again, that we don't have a formal policy. And I guess my question is should we, and if so, are we developing one? I'm on 19, Gary, and 21, both right in the middle of the page.
These are things that you should consider doing. We've disclosed here that you don't currently have a policy, but it would be something that the board would have to investigate and determine what their policy would be.
Seems like that if our outside auditors are suggesting we have a policy, we probably ought to have a policy. Let's see, just a couple of other items. One I was curious about was on page 45, where you show the budget presentation for 2010, and a very large negative change in fund balance anticipated, and just curious about that as to why there is such a large swing in the other direction. Is that just an indication that, just curious if anybody can answer that question. You see where I'm at in the middle of on 45, $18 million change in fund balance?
Yeah, typically the district has a very significant contingency in their budget, and that is the reason for the $18 million. You'll note that I think last year they had a similar sizable deficit, and you'll notice that they...
Looks like Beth is trying to help bail you out here.
But she's going to help me. It's this right down here where it's...
So this is for this year.
This is the 9/10 budget.
And I think what Phoebe said is correct, is that when we do the budget, we, plan on, spending out the money in various categories, and then by year end, oftentimes not all of those areas are spent out, and so they result in an ending balance. But it's not, it's not in a fund. We don't plan for the ending balance, in a specific line item, because it's budget.
Okay, and then my last is, I guess, just a little editorial comment, and that is, I think I find your finding 0901 embarrassing on the part of our board, that economic interest statements aren't being filed, and would hope that we would not see this kind of comment in future audit reports. Thank you.
I want to address that, so let me jump in to follow up on that, and also say I think next month we're going to put you back on the audit committee. Just be prepared. With respect to that finding 09-01 and the Form 700 Statement of Economic Interests, what steps, if any, were taken by management to remind, cajole, otherwise make the filing that is required in fact happen, if you're aware of any?
Well, it's my understanding this is really handled through Gary's office, and we go through a process of several reminders and so forth, and then it's my understanding at some point in time the things are sent then to the county supervisor's office, county clerk, and at that point I think they we'll send reminders or notices and take it from there.
Let me just say, I was surprised to find this in the audit, and that fortunately it isn't me that's the subject here, but typically I don't believe we inform board members that this is an issue with respect to the audit and need get done in addition to just complying with obligations. So, I guess I'd like to see, since there's a recommendation that policy be cleaned up, that management get on top of this issue and making sure that this issue doesn't hold us up again in our audit request, in our audit forms. Yes, sir.
In our defense, I believe that lots of requests go out asking for delinquent forms. Cheryl in my office handles that, and she continually works on this all the time. When it's gotten beyond a certain point, it's sent to the Chancellor's office for the Chancellor's office to follow up on it. And then once the date is passed, it's out of our hands, and it's in the hands of the county.
Well, it's not out of your hands. The county can take action, but it's not out of your hands to continue to inform board members that not just is there this requirement, but in fact it is an issue and would be an issue for our audit, and our audit is not as clean as it otherwise could be. So it's not out of your hands. It's just a matter of informing us. And I was surprised to see this and not ever having been informed of this before. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. All right. I got Chancellor Mather.
Thank you. I would just like to comment on those two areas that Phoebe mentioned about the need for developing policy. I'll work with Deputy Chancellor Portner, who chairs the Board Policy Committee, and bring some proposed policies to the board for consideration in the future.
Right. Trustee Fuentes.
An audit is serious stuff, and I want to commend the firm of Vicente, Lloyd, and Stutzman for what I think is a highly professional presentation to us, what we have found and been presented in written form. Well done. I also want to thank all of our own staff, led by Gary and Beth, for their fine efforts, and I also want to add a word that Dave, your comments and attention to this, and I realize that in this past year you have not been a member of the audit committee, but your reflections and comments and presentation sharing with us at this board forum gives me great comfort, and I appreciate that. I move to accept for review and study.
All right. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, let's vote. Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon, and again, Gary, thank you to you and your staff. All right, the matter carries unanimously. We are at item 4, which is our discussion item. It is tonight on the topic of sustainability efforts at Saddleback, IVC, and ATEP. Chancellor Mather.
Thank you. We have done a presentation. We have done a presentation for the board in the past on sustainability, and tonight what we would like to do is provide you a progress report, an update, if you will, on this topic. Now, from my perspective, there are 4 major components to sustainability that you may want to be looking out for. One, as to what we are doing in the area of curriculum, program development, and instruction. Secondly, in the area of building construction and building renovations. Third is in the area of purchasing of supplies and equipment or procurement. And fourth is in the area of energy conservation. And we have done some things in all of these areas, and tonight you are going to get the update. And to present this report, we have Brandy Delena from the district, the 2 college presidents, President Burnett and President Rockmore, and ATEP Provost Randy Peebles. And I believe, Brandy, you are starting. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity to present sustainability issues that we've been addressing over the last little bit of time. This evening, we're going to present you with 4 mini presentations, starting with the district. On a national level, there's a strong trend towards sustainability in education. Bills are being presented to establish sustainable workforce education, and those are being followed by sustainable facilities practices. At the state level, Other measures, including AB 32, are in place or are on their way that will impact the district and the college in the future. It is with this awareness that the Chancellor supports and encourages professional development toward a more sustainable approach. The district and colleges have participated in many sustainable conferences, including this one, the Green California Community Colleges Conference, that's held at Pasadena annually. Also, we've had first-hand investigation opportunities that have taken place during a field trip at the Ohlone Newark Center College, and this is a LEED Platinum facility. And these field trips were attended by staff, administration, management, the chancellor, and members of the boards, some of which you see here in this photo. Now, these folks are standing in front of the Silicon Valley's largest solar power collector. And this is also, as I said, at the Ohlone College Center. Now, there are meetings where all levels of district and college administration and management are represented. These are the district leadership team meetings. And under the guidance of Chancellor Mather, we focus on sustainability through a series of meetings. From these efforts, the Board of Trustees has adopted the goal that's listed here, which is to establish a legacy in environmental sustainability in all areas. Those areas are listed here. Instruction will be addressed by the presidents and the provost following me. And I'm going to get in now first to these three areas: energy conservation and stewardship. Now, there are many new ideas being presented relative to these areas, and as many notions for how to get these things to us quickly. With all this new latest, greatest information coming our way, particularly in the area of energy management, it takes the combined efforts of district and college staff to evaluate these different things and provide proposals and recommendations to the board. Here we see on this slide three areas that are either have been considered or are under consideration. That would be wind power, solar power, or electric vehicle charging stations. The various district departments are uniquely positioned to address concerns related to one of the areas we saw previously, conservation. Those that are listed here have made great strides toward reducing our paper consumption. The purchasing department has day-to-day procurement efforts that they manage, and they manage both the consideration of what the costs are for considering sustainability as well as what the value will be for the overall best value for the district. The last three areas of our sustainability goal are also interdependent. So operational needs feed facilities plannings, feeds the construction prioritization. This is another area where district and college work together to ensure that the best value is obtained for our student population and the best environments are created for our students. But how do we measure those efforts? One way that we can measure them is through the LEAD, which is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. Here, using new construction as an example, I'm showing you the way that points are broken out. There are different categories listed here, energy and atmosphere being the first with the most points. Indoor environmental quality includes things such as air quality, lighting, and thermal controls. That's the next highest points. The next list is sustainable sites. Now, sustainable sites is relative to things like stormwater control, open areas, maximizing open areas, and transportation. The next one, materials and resources, is relative to the locality of materials and the recyclability of our resources. Water efficiency attends to irrigation and landscaping. And then that last category that you see there is the catch-all for everything that didn't fit in the previous categories. So accumulating these points, we can acquire a LEED certified building, a LEED silver building, LEED gold, or LEED platinum. At a minimum, we might want to consider LEED certified or LEED silver as one of our goals. Finally, here's a list of buildings that we've already designed and constructed which had LEED certification criteria in mind. Around those buildings were water efficient landscaping was planted, in plant pallets that are now being used by the different colleges to move forward with other landscaping projects. Finally, in close and toward our future, IVC is under design right now for a life sciences building, and our objective is to obtain LEED gold. I'll turn this over now to Dr. Burnett.
Trustee Williams.
The benefit, could you go over the benefits of the LEED certification? Is there funding reimbursement available on the new construction or something?
Not specific to LEED. The benefits to obtaining LEED certification is in the accountability. A lot of people set out to have their buildings be sustainable, and as we go through the process, decide that we're going to value engineer this thing out or that thing out, and pretty soon we don't have the sustainable building that we originally intended to. So LEED certification is an accountability for making sure we follow what we hope to.
Whoops, the other way. There we are. I should also add, with the LEED certification, is that there are many funding opportunities that help you get those funding if you are doing a LEED certified or an environmentally or sustainable building. So I should add that as well in the benefits of LEED. The students, faculty, and staff at Saddleback College, as well as our management, are very much committed to sustainability and the environment. Sustainability is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And I'm really here to tell you today about what we've done in the last year at Saddleback. First, on energy conservation, we've saved 1 million kilowatt of hours, roughly $20,000 savings. We have a cogeneration facility that provided 8.5 million kilowatt hours and saved roughly $480,000. We've reclaimed up to 60 million gallons of water and saved approximately $75,000. And we've recycled 1,849 tons and diverted 51%. I will note that 51% seems a little low right now. It's because they changed the standards, and we're going to be going and doing better this year and the further years coming in the future. In our instruction area, we have existing environmental and sustainable programs. First, we have our environmental studies programs, horticulture, landscape design, oceanography, green automotive technician certificate program, and there are 17 other courses related to sustainability at Saddleback College. Most exciting is what we're developing right now. We are working on a sustainability certificate, Sustainability Studies Occupational Skills Award, Green Technology Certificate, and speaking of LEED, we have our professor, Stephen Blake, has actually been certified a LEED. So we're one of the few community colleges in the state that actually have faculty member that is now certified in LEED, and we're looking forward to have a program revolving around that as well. And we're also looking at doing an energy crisis course that's going to look at not only the crisis situation and how it's become, but what are the solutions for that. So we're very excited in our instruction area and academics in the sustainability and environment area. In our student services area, our campus environment committee is working on doing a whole quad redesign, actually, that is sustainable with California native plants, irrigation, design, etc. Very, very exciting project that they've been working on now for about the past year. They've also, our ASG is working on a campus earthwink that's also working with the campus and the campus environment committee. They're also composting, as well, looking at for the entire campus. And of course, you might have heard earlier about our loop road and our jogging. We're putting in a jogging walking path would make us, our students and our guests and all of our visitors more dependent upon using their feet and their legs as opposed to using other transportation modes. Our ASG Go Green Committee is working on environmental awareness throughout the campus, not only just for students, but for our employees as well and community. And you might have heard once in their report that they're actually doing green books and putting that in the library and investing some time and attention into that. Our cafeteria and food vending services are replacing all styrofoam. We've already done that. We have no longer any more styrofoam on our campus, replacing with recyclable materials. And our cafeteria is composting as well, which is very exciting to see. Our Child Development Center is doing a whole play yard renovation project that's based on California native growth as well as recyclable play yard type of materials, as well as how it's all being designed for the child development. And also going to be focusing on toddler green education, starting them young so they can go back and train their parents on the environment. Throughout the campus and all of our student service departments, they're moving heavily over to a paperless system, which of course is good for our environment, but also is efficient, also saves money, and frankly is probably a better service in the end for everybody. And of course, they've been heavily using our online student education plans and our My Academic Plan system, which of course reduces the amount of paper being used. Our maintenance and operations has been looking into solar, wind, and fuel cell technologies to use throughout the campus, looking at alternative fuels for our fleets and other things that we do on campus, looking at new energy-efficient lighting throughout all of our existing buildings. Upgrading our energy management control systems, which is a tremendous way for us to more efficiently use the energy that we do use. And just recently completed doing a cool roof for our student services building, which would be less of a reflection, so less of the amount of energy needed to cool the building when it's hot by putting those new roof surfaces in. And then we have new irrigation systems going in throughout the campus that are a drip system, more efficient, so it uses less water. Also, we have energy efficient building construction. Any new building we're looking at doing or a renovation, we are taking into consideration strongly on how we can do more efficient building of that construction. We are looking at parking lot photovoltaic lighting retrofits for all of our lights in all of our parking lots right now, which would be a tremendous savings in money and energy. And finally, we're looking at redoing our plumbing energy saving type plumbing. Once again, that'll reduce energy as well as water and be a tremendous benefit to the campus. And finally, replacing any of the antiquated HVAC systems. In fact, you approved some money for us to do a new HVAC system, if you recall, a couple months ago for our math science building as an example. At Saddleback College, we are going green. Thank you.
Wait.
Yes, sir.
What is toddler green education? What are the components?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we believe it is appropriate to have toddlers, quote, work on their parents? Is it education? Is it indoctrination? Is there a curriculum? How's that happen?
I actually don't think there's the formal curriculum, as we know. I don't want my academic senate president getting our child development center in trouble. But I'll tell you what toddler education is just that. It's teaching our youth, our young, not even youth, our kids and very young kids about the environment. And more importantly, it's about the playground and how it's designed. So when they design, for instance...
Playground design was separate.
Yeah, it is, Senator. But the education is by designing it teaches the kids and not to mention their parents. Well, their parents are coming and they're working with their kids, they're picking up their kids, they're visiting the facility. Well, they're learning about that through their own toddlers because they're there seeing it and witnessing how it can be done so they can take it back to their own houses, take it back to their own workplaces, and learn from what we're doing at Saddleback and our Child Development Center to help them as well in their homes and in the community. Did I answer them all?
Trustee Lang.
This may be slightly off subject, I'm not sure, but I remember years ago, Saddleback had a program using alternative vehicles. Seems to me they had maybe electric cars or something like that they were developing. And it seems to me that got discontinued. And I'm just curious, is there anything, any talk about maybe bringing something like that back, since there seems to be, obviously that seems to be a direction that the industry may be going or what have you?
Yes. John will explain.
Yes, and Todd will tell me how to do it. We did have a program in the ATAS department that developed electric vehicles, and those electric vehicles were used for maintenance. They weren't approved by the DMV to be used on public streets, but they were used in maintenance.
That was the only use. It wasn't. I was thinking in terms of passenger vehicles.
We've never have procured electric vehicles. We have looked at electric vehicles for the campus fleet. The only vehicles that are available commercially are passenger sedans. There's no vans, pickups, or anything like that that's manufactured at this time that's powered by electrical.
Thank you.
President Rockmore.
Thank you very much. As well, I will be covering what we've done in the last year at Irvine Valley College, but I must mention that you're getting old when things come back again. It was almost 30 years ago, as a young science student, I was working on these exact same things. Here they are again. Addressing the board's goal, Irvine Valley College established as one of its own goals, Goal 11, that has to do with green technologies and in our planning on campus. We also have infused into our strategic plan an objective for 2009-2010 that relates to our master plan and taking a look at lead technology, as Brandy has discussed, as we go forward with any future construction on campus. The organization that we're operating under right now is part of our strategic planning process. We have an environmental sustainability task force. And so any of the recommendations that are developed on campus go through this organization and have consideration ultimately for funding for anything that makes sense in that regard. But in addition to that, we also have the Classified Senate and their Green Alternatives Committee, and they're meeting independently, although their information does feed through that committee I just talked about. They're really looking at what kinds of alternatives can be employed on the campus, for example, certain kinds of cleaning products, the styrofoam conversion to corn products that Todd talked about, for example. We also have the very stimulating Green Team Alliance. In fact, that's the group that came before you several months ago to talk about a recycling proposal that they were interested in. They're primarily doing the educational side of all of this. They're bringing in speakers, they're running workshops, they're really pushing us in the direction of composting, but it really is the educational piece in learning about what this is all about. Some of the activities we've been involved in, we're looking at our curriculum to see if there are some existing pieces that can have environmental sustainability incorporated within them. And of course, things like oceanography, environmental geology, or a couple of courses that would be perfect for that kind of thing, as well as new kinds of curriculum that would address this area. We are in the process of researching actually full programs that might address energy, water, soil, air management that you see here as well. We have a public TV series on the greening of IVC and the community, and that's one that the students are producing, as well as a documentary as well as documenting exemplary colleges that are using green technology. And what I have is a very short clip. It's only 1 minute and 30 seconds here that was produced by our Classified Senate when they took a trip to Ohlone College as one of those examples.
The building is an amazing building, but it was built with a philosophy about really building a healthy and innovative learning space for the students. So that's really where the design of the building actually grew out of, and it's been a great project. We've had a great project team, the contractor, the architects, all of the subcontractors have been a part of it, our faculty, our staff, our students have all had a voice in how the design came out and everything. So we did reach LEED Platinum. We did not set out to build a LEED Platinum building. We set out, again, to build an innovative learning space to meet the needs of students for the 21st century. The concept that we really want to portray is a flexible and dynamic and healthy learning environment for the students. Good air quality in a room, good lighting in a room, and good temperature. Those are really three major variables that impact learning. You know, getting away from the tablet, arm, desk, all-in-row concept, and more to an ergonomically designed environment for the students. Here it is. We have the twin enthalpy wheels on the second floor. They bring fresh air into the building at 300% times the normal rate, or what's required for fresh air into a building. And so we have no operable windows in the building, but it feels like you're outside.
I would like to mention also, to kind of spring on the question that Brandy had, that enthalpy wheel will cost roughly $3,000 to $6,000 above what the normal HVAC system would cost, and give you an idea on that. Some additional activities, we are recycling at a rate of 68% right now. We are investigating composting as we speak. We have a number of different models on campus that we're experimenting with. We are planning, as we now have the easement, the SCE easement that we can utilize. The students are interested in putting a small vegetable garden in there using green technologies, and perhaps even giving that food to a food bank or even run a farmer's market. The students are running co-curricular field trips out to various green industries, again for a learning process, and as well as working with the city of Irvine in terms of partnerships. My office is now 80% LED lighting. Those are light-emitting diodes, and so the energy reduction in my office alone is about 40%. It's a lot cooler in there, too. As trees need to be replaced, we're looking at native vegetation, and as we're doing new vegetation, we're looking at native plants there as well. And then also, finally, investigating a 1.7 megawatt photovoltaic power plant that would actually cover nearly 50% of the total energy usage on the campus, campus-wide, and one that would have a funding process that would have no out-of-pocket as that's done. Any questions, comments?
Looks like you get away easy.
Thank you very much.
Provost Peebles.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to present a little bit about ATEP and sustainability. With ATEP being the newest campus in the district, we certainly have a unique opportunity to build out in a sustainable manner as we grow to the next 30 acres. The ATEP campus certainly is environmental friendly, including the fact that it was built to LEED standards, and in areas such as the building materials were 97% recycled materials, things like sunshades, windows, and shading, the lighting and special lighting and controls for lighting, and of course the watering and landscaping was also put together in a sustainable manner. ATEP's concept plan for the next 30-acre build-out includes an entire section, Section 5, that is about sustainability. And the district's commitment to sustainability and strategies will certainly minimize ATEP's impact on the environment in the future, from a design and from the building facilities to careful resource consumption. I, along with ATEP staff, certainly will continue to work with the two colleges to help seek grants and alternative funding for sustainability and green type programs. And I also want to thank Dr. Mather for making sustainability and green initiatives an important goal for this year. Thank you.
Questions? All right, let me ask. You just said that you're going to continue to work for grants. Have we gotten any grants?
We have
green
we
sustainability grants?
haven't recently gotten any funded yet.
We have.
We have some grants out there that we're waiting anxiously to hear about.
Okay. What are you doing to get them that you're going to continue to do?
I'm sorry, the question?
You said you're going to continue. What are you doing to get those grants that you're going to continue to do? You said you're going to continue to work towards getting grants. Okay. What does that entail? What does that mean to us?
Excuse me. Thank you. What I'm doing is I'm working, for instance, I'm meeting with David Gatewood and Rachel Manders at IBC. We're looking at a green grant, sustainability grant at Irvine now. We've also met recently with a couple of the directors from the state initiative in environmental standards and green initiatives to see if we can partner with some existing funded grants to do some training activities at ATEP. And we're continuing to look at new opportunities and watch the Federal Register to see what new grants might come in.
And how long have we been looking for these grants?
We have been looking for those grants probably for about 9 months or so as we really started to focus on the green initiatives, especially as the federal funds became announced.
Thank you. Other questions? Thank you all. We are at the consent calendar, and let me ask my colleagues any items to remove from the consent calendar. Trustee Padberg.
5.11.
Move the ballots.
Seeing no others, is there a second to the ballot? Moving the ballots. Moved and seconded. Let's vote on the ballots. Trustee Jay, please.
Sorry, I didn't mean to press the button.
No. Vote. We're voting on ballots. All right, thank you. And 511, trustees' requests for attending conferences. Trustee Padberg.
Yes, I'd like this item divided. I have a great deal of concern about sending anyone, staff, trustees, or anyone across the country with the current budget situation to a conference. So I'd like this to be divided so we can vote on both of these separately.
All right, that's a reasonable request. Any objections to doing it that way? All right, let's vote on the one in San Diego first.
Move approval both.
Move approval of both. All right. Both have been moved and seconded. The question is properly called to divide, so we will vote on them separately. Discussion on the San Diego one. Seeing no discussion, let's vote on it. All right, that one passes unanimously. We've divided out the second one. Let me inquire of the Chancellor, are there any trustees who have requested to go to Orlando?
None.
All right. Let's vote on the second one at this point. I'm ahead of myself. Let me ask my colleagues, any further question or discussion? All right, let's vote on this one. And that matter carries with 2 no votes. All right, where are we? Item 6.1 is already approved for review and study. That's the audit. 6.2 is the Saddleback's amended faculty request list.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. Matter carries unanimously. 6.3, the academic calendar, here for review and study.
Move approval.
Discussion? Let's vote. Trustee Jay. Thank you, and that carries unanimously. Board policy revision for discussion or approval.
Move approval.
Move approval, moved and seconded. Discussion? Let's vote. Trustee Mills, complete. Thank you. Matter carries unanimously. For review and study, a number of policies.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. Matter carries unanimously. 6.6, academic personnel action items. Discussion?
Move approval as submitted.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. No discussion. Let's vote. 6.7, classified personnel action items. And I believe there is one amendment. On item E5, we want to change the effective date from November 2nd to October 31st, please.
Move approval as amended.
Any further discussion? Let's vote on the item. Matter carries unanimously. 6. I had a 6.8 tab, but I remember there's nothing there. 7.1 is the Communication Arts and Film Program. That's the voluminous study, and we are going to bring it back in December with Dean Bullock's concurrence.
Move approval.
For this.
Move to put it off
All right, yeah, no action is needed there. Trustee Padberg, do you want to address that item briefly?
I want to be sure it comes back as a discussion item, not stuck at the back of the agenda for.
I thank you, and the Chancellor caught that, and I appreciate that. It will come back as a discussion item. All right. 7.2, an information item, non-resident tuition fees. Discussion, questions, comments? Very well. The basic aid report, 7.3, is an information item. Discussion, nothing. Facilities plan status report, 7.4. No. 7.5, list of board requested reports. Questions or comments? Very good. And item 7.6, our quarterly investment report. All right. We are to item 8, the written reports. And we will start with President Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
First, I wanted to give congratulations to our forensic team who placed 4th at the tournament in Pasadena City College. They're very proud of it, that accomplishment. They beat out the prior state champions and actually only winning fourth, but they had the most individual recipients of awards of any team that participated, and I believe there were over 60 teams and colleges that participated. Once again, you've heard it from many of you about our foundation gala. I've been told it's the most successful we've had probably ever at Saddleback, certainly in the way of money. They raised $5,000 more than what their goal was, and their goal was already $10,000 more than last year. So I wanted to first thank all 6 of the board members that were able to come. I'm sorry, John, you were sick, and I'm sorry, Bianca or Trustee Bailey, that you were in Chicago. I think you would have had a good time. So we'll get there next year, right? And also wanted to thank, of course, our wonderful Board of Governors for the foundation that did a lot of work on this in efforts, as well as Michelle Anstead, our Executive Director, and our staff and all our volunteers, and our wonderful students at Culinary Arts and elsewhere. Just want to let you know that Saddleback College is one of the community organizations that's distributing some of the H1N1 virus vaccines, and we've been doing that this week, and we'll continue to do so based on a policy that's been given to us of the critical personnel and vulnerable populations. So just thought you'd be nice to hear that. We've been working very hard at Saddleback continuing on accreditation. I would like this one of many times to thank very much Trustee David Lang for serving on the Saddleback Standard 4 team. They have been working extremely hard. I will say that we're going to give a report next meeting to you, and we'll introduce everybody to you in the process. But I did want to take this opportunity to thank everyone because, as Bob Cosgrove, our Academic Senate President, said, there is a lot of stress going on at our campus, and one of them is that they're staying on schedule with our accreditation report, and you'll hear more about that next month. In addition to accreditation, of course, is our strategic planning. We've been extremely well under our revised process, and I'm very pleased to let you know that our 4 strategic directions that have been approved by the campus are: first, improving student preparedness; second, fostering innovation; third, excelling in college transfers; and fourth, enhancing resources. So what we're doing right now is our strategic planning committees throughout the college are coming up with goals and then eventually strategies to implement those strategic directions, which you'll hear more about. Finally, I had handed to you all from the city of Mission Viejo. They did a whole section on thankfulness for Thanksgiving, and one of our students' picture of our Veterans Memorial is used as the cover there, and that's one of our students named Stephen Kraut, who's in our film production department, did actually this, and the city of Mission Viejo is doing this all over the community, which we're very proud of. Finally, thanks Trustee Milchiker for what she's doing on the Chili Bowl. Speaking of the Veterans Memorial, I hope you all can come for the Festival and Art Auction, which is Thursday, November 19th, which is this week from 4 to 8 p.m. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. And before we move on, Trustee Padberg.
I just wanted to comment about the foundation and how successful it was in these tough economic times. That's just extraordinary. So my hat's off to you and to Michelle Anstead.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say that President Burnett, thanked me for my involvement with the accreditation, but there are 2 individuals, I think, from the district that have been very, very involved. Everybody on this committee has worked extremely hard. Carmen Dominguez deserves incredible credit for the work that she's done, but 2 of the district folks, I think, that have certainly outshined any contribution that I've made to this effort is Bob Bermucci, but particularly Tracy Daly, who's done an incredible job, and just they deserve to be acknowledged.
President Rockmore. Oh, I'm sorry. You're still up.
I just wanted to ask President Burnett if possibly the person who designed this might be in the audience and we could recognize them.
He is not, but we'd love to bring him back if you'd like.
Okay, that would be great.
You got it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if I can, I'd like to add Gary Portner to that, who's been on the IVC team, has done a tremendous amount of work as well. I appreciate that very much. I just have a couple of quick items. I would like to thank Board President Wagner, Trustee Lang, and Chancellor Mather for attending the Veterans Ceremony at Irvine Valley College. And I would like to just read something to you here quickly. It's new enough I don't have this memorized. Under the leadership of Vice President Plano, Irvine Valley College is proud to announce its adoption and sponsorship of Delta Company, 1st Battalion, 101st Airborne Combat Aviation Division, through the Americans Supporting Americans program. Through IVC's adoption, individuals like Officer Captain Olin Walters from Laguna Hills, currently serving in Delta Company, might feel a little bit more connected to home through this adoption plan. The initial plans are still getting underway, but what we expect that we'll be doing is exchanging letters with them. We'll be putting care packages together, and perhaps if they're coming out this way, we'll be hosting them in our homes for a meal, which I'm sure that they will appreciate, as well as assisting getting them together with their families. The 101st continues a proud tradition of excellence as part of the only air assault division in the Army and the Strategic Division of Choice. Delta Company is currently stationed in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and is expected to be deployed to Afghanistan in January of 2010. So we're very proud of this news. We just received this last week. And with that, happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Provost Peoples.
Thank you. Tonight I thought I'd highlight two partnerships that we're working on at ATEP along with the colleges. One is working with Kenneth Zion and Richard De La Vela, both statewide directors of the environmental training centers, and they were on campus to discuss the possibility of establishing an South Orange County Center for Green Building, Environmental, Business Compliance, and Safety Training, possibly again with a partnership with our CAC Center and IVC. And I'm meeting with the IVC staff on that now. Additionally, we met with a team from Apple Computer, led by their Chief Development Engineer, Vin Capone, and they presented an overview of some new interactive technology solutions, including software, hardware, and other services that might enhance student learning in the entertainment technology, cinema, video, audio post-production, and design technology, along with the HIT, or Health Information Technology. All of which we see as high potential partnership assets that we would work with both colleges to enhance their programs. Thank you.
Professor Allen?
Thank you. I've been practicing all week. I think maybe I'm a little bit better coordinated. I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to report on behalf of the IVC Academic Senate. And this evening I have 4 items. The first one is that over the previous week, the IVC faculty members have worked with administration to complete and forward to HR all of our 24 faculty position announcements that are now at HR. And secondly, that the Senate is also in the process of approving the academic search committee appointments, and those recommendations will begin at this Thursday's meeting. We have a number of them coming at that time. Third, I'd like to report that, again, there are numerous faculty that continue to actively participate in our accreditation self-study. And then finally, I'm pleased to announce that on behalf of the involved faculty, that the IVC Model United Nations team won 3 of the top awards at the latest competition, the Pacific Coast Model United Nations Fall Conference, bringing home 2 awards in research and 1 as a designated distinguished delegate. So we're very proud of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Cosgrove.
Thank you, President Wagner. 2 items. One addresses the issue that Trustee Fuentes raised regarding the report in January. Saddleback College has been working for a couple of months now on efficiencies, and the Senate just finished its portion of it. So we're well ahead of the game on that at Saddleback. The second one is Lisa and I and a couple of other people from Saddleback and IVC attended the State Academic Senate meeting, which I mentioned earlier, in Ontario. And while I learned a good deal and participated in the resolutions, I sat at a table, I think, Friday afternoon and didn't realize that 3 of the people sitting at the table were student observers who had come up from San Diego. And I met one of them later, Mike King, a young man, well-dressed and articulate, and we just started chit-chatting in the hallway, and he said something that really impressed me. He said, you know, back at the college, we look at professors oftentimes as distant and aloof. He said, but here, all I've been hearing in the sessions I've been attending is how concerned faculty members are about students, and that's up and down the state. And there are a number of trustees, by the way, and I should have extended and will now, when we have our Southern California conferences in the fall, I would certainly like to invite trustees to come to some of these if you're available, or at least for part of them, to see what takes place at the State Academic Senate fall plenary session.
Thank you, sir. Professor Haggerty.
Thank you, President Wagner. What I'd like to just mention is that in 3 weeks we will be in final exams for this semester, and it's just really awesome that the semester is going by so quickly. And what I'm observing is that the holiday season is coming on the end of the semester. There's really a strong sense of accomplishment within the colleges, both colleges, Irvine Valley and Saddleback College, as well as a greater and stronger sense of cooperation within the two colleges, between the two colleges, and within the colleges themselves. So we feel really proud as faculty members what we've accomplished this school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hamilton.
Thank you, President Wagner. Classified Senate for Saddleback College has been continuing to work with the efficiencies and working along with the Academic Senate on the efficiencies for the college. We've passed and put forward now our approvals and statements of what we wish to see on these efficiencies. Currently, the classified are working diligently on all the different portions of the accreditation reports, the different committees that are involved with it. And tomorrow morning I will be flying off to San Francisco to meet with the State Classified Senate at the CCLC conference, and then I'll be back tomorrow night, and I'll bring you a report next month. Thank you.
Sir. Ms. Morehouse. You're on.
CSEA does not have a report tonight, but I'd like to wish everybody I was going to say Merry Christmas. I'm a little bit ahead of myself. A very happy and safe Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thank you. Ms. Mahaney.
Classified Senate at IVC still working very, very hard again with accreditation and also with all our committees. The Grid and Alternatives is pretty strong. Our bylaws tomorrow at our last meeting for this 2009 year will be presented for everyone to approve in our January meeting. So we continue working very hard, very happy, very enthusiastic. I think we have accomplished a lot this just semester, just half a year with the Classified Senate. And our officers are pretty strong out there. You probably have seen them in different meetings. If I don't attend, someone else will attend on my behalf. So we have total shared governance with our Classified Senate, and we're very pleased and happy. And also, I just want to wish everyone happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Be safe. We'll see you in December. We stand adjourned.
Good job. Good time.